No. Hello again. Don't ask me why I'm doing this or I feel the need to do this. I'm just am. Also, I have a break in my day. Whenever I have folks move around the schedule and reschedule and cancel and all that, I don't see why I shouldn't be doing something. Sometimes I don't know how to relax. I'm still working on that. I've spent many, many years just not relaxing. And so when I have the opportunity to relax, my mind just spins. So why not? But also, like, I feel very strongly if I can get out all of the things I can get out, though I have the opportunity to do so, and hopefully something I say changes something. I don't know. Maybe I'm dreaming too big on that. I have no, I have the foggiest idea. When I was talking to you guys about being accountable and speaking up when something ain't quite right, I've done it. Also appreciated the times when someone spoke to me when I wasn't doing something quite right and sat me down and say maybe it's a different way. I've had many of friends do that for me. Let me tell you something. When I say I've worked on my anger, I've worked on it. It's not that there weren't times when my anger was justified. No. But there were times when my anger exploded. And then after the fact, I thought that anger and explosion was justified. But sometimes sometimes something is just an annoyance. You ain't gotta explode every single time. Said. Now I wouldn't explode every single time, but there were times where I did, and it didn't need to even be all that. You see what I'm saying? Being the person to sit somebody down and kind of telling them they slip showing is a kindness to them as well as anybody else they're impacting. Okay? And not for nothing. Just as I've said yesterday and in previous instances, I guess here and there I touched on it, there are things that I've done that nobody knows about. And sometimes that gets a bit challenging considering the amount of strife and struggle I've had to go through to get any piece of solace in life. Now that's not no war is me statement. That's it is what it is statement. I experience a lot of joy, despite. But if it's going, the suffering's going to do something. Because I've often asked myself why. Why the hell am I going through all this? Then I'll get an answer here and there, and then I go back to the why. And as I sit here on many days in my sweet solitude, like, maybe I'm supposed to say stuff. I don't know. Because every single time I think I'm on the right path, or every single time I think I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing, or I'm going towards exactly what I'm meant to be doing, or what a purpose would be for me, something comes in and gums up the works, and I don't entirely blame circumstance. Sometimes it's me. I've gotten that memo several times. Hence why I've worked on several aspects of balancing out. Because anger has its purpose, child. Otherwise, I mean, we just be pushovers. Strife has its purpose too. Otherwise, we'd have no grit. I don't know why I needed so much grit. I didn't talk about it before. I have enough grit to make breakfast for everybody in the whole city of New Orleans. That's just in my opinion. But the last few videos, heard me talk about the different issues, some different issues that I've had working within and learning within the therapeutic and counseling communities. While also hearing me say simultaneously, I still believe in them. Why? It's because I had those issues and they wanted things to be a certain way and it can remain a certain way and do a certain thing, and I was against a lot of that stuff. It doesn't mean that a lot of the things that were there, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's my concept of it. I can say how I feel about things and also still advocate for people who come to me to go to counseling and educate them about the different type of counseling methods and help them find someone that would serve what they need best. I can still do that while also holding my personal feelings. Walking and chew gum, you know what I mean? No different. And it's like, you would think if you're just coming upon me or just seeing me anew or for the first time, you would think that I'm just some better somebody, maybe. Honey, it's been 4 years, probably 5, something like that. Since some of it, even longer than that a lot of this stuff then went down. If I was going to be bitter and just scream from the mountaintops what everybody did in great detail, I would have done it by now. Hell, the worst I've ever done is write about it on my social media years ago without being too explicit. That was me doing my shadow work in my journal. And for some reason, I felt pulled to let people see me process that. Process grief, anger, pain, while also advocating for us to have a better way of life. All of us. And I don't even have that anymore, at least not right now. I went back on there long. Again, it took me about 48 hours before I was like, I just don't see why I am here. It just doesn't do anything for me. And I don't know why that is. Everybody else seems to like it. But I only ever used it, at least prior to this past 6-7 years, to update family and friends on my life. It wasn't to have a platform or a soapbox. And using it in that way worked in some ways for some people, but it don't do much for me. If that makes sense. Me talking right now is not out of I want to stab anybody or hurt anybody. Most of the stories you're going to hear from me, you're not going to hear descriptive details about nothing or nobody and nobody's names, and I like it that way. Again, I don't think anybody's above or below healing and evolution. But you keep a person from having that opportunity. Now, some people have done so much egregious things and behaviors that sometimes they might be above absolution in this life. That ain't none of my business. Okay? But if I think there's a chance, because I see the light, sometimes I see the light in people, and even when they're doing me dirty. And the talent and the propensity to do great things. A lighter touch and a lighter touch and a lighter approach may be warranted in that case. It's one of the reasons why I sit with my pain instead of, like I said, making them suffer in a way that I definitely know how. And that's sometimes tough. I don't know if y'all know this, but there are times when my ego has been larger than my entire body. But it's not because I think I'm better than anybody else. I just think I'm awesome. But I had to grow that back in myself. There were times when I did not think I was awesome. And not always due to my own factors. And that's what I want to talk to you about right now. Now, we have gentle parenting and all that stuff, but that can only go so far. We still have to teach grit and hard work and boundaries to kids. It's okay to be gentle with them, but teaching them grit and boundaries is something that is crucial to our own survival. God forbid anything happen to you and nobody else is doing gentle parenting. What are they going to do? How are they going to operate? How are they going to function? Now, children are resilient, yes. But they shouldn't have to be resilient every day of their life. Which brings us to the next point. Some people are against gentle parenting. No, you should be gentle in your parenting while also incorporating boundaries and grit. Okay? Chores have been beneficial to them, so when they get grown, they know how to cook a meal for themselves. and clean the house and maybe wash the ass proper. Part of your biggest job is to teach them how to survive with and without you. And the younger they are and able, young and able, the better that is to incorporate into their reality. Because life is unpredictable. You might say, well, should I get a 5-year-old chores? Possibly. At the very least, they can pick up their own toys. They can put things away. They can have responsibilities that they understand. They begin to understand they are responsible for some things, while also incorporating kindness and love and helping them with their emotional regulation. All those things go into the pot. I think I've thought about it since I started talking more regular. I think one of my biggest issues with the social media game is there is nothing that is filtered for children. The mother and the father of the home is not always emotionally regulated or healthy, but in some cases they are. But when we put the device in a kid's hand, they're no longer being parented or guided or anything by mom and dad. They're being guided by what they see as the most popular thing, and the joy and dopamine spikes they get that others are getting from being acknowledged online. And if you have the right or the wrong, depending upon your perspective, set of circumstances, some young minds might do terrible things for clout and all these things and popularity and clicks because they're not getting any attention at home. Or the attention at home the only attention they get is for negative behaviors, which is constantly giving them a biofeedback loop that only tells their brain they can get dopamine when they do something outrageous. I'm telling you exactly when I left. When I was just out. And I was just like, I can't. It's when everybody was doing these pranks. They're doing pranks. And the more outrageous the prank, the better. Life is hard enough without going to the grocery store and having somebody throwing stuff at you and pretending they're not doing that. Okay? People be tired. What is you doing? For example, but your biggest job, our biggest job as a community, is to not glorify silliness all the time. Now, it's okay to be silly sometimes. I love the silly, right? If it gets too ridiculous, I'm just like, oh, no. Because, see, right after them broomsticks stood up, and that was some years ago, right before everything really got real, them children was out there licking toilet seats and eating Tide Pods for the same reasons, because they're not getting the same nurturing. Or the dopamine hit needs to get so high at this point that they have to do the most ridiculous and redundant things. And redundant, when I say everybody's doing it, say, oh, that person got clicks for doing it, so I'm going to also do it, but I'm going to top that one. And I just do not super love that at all. And coupled with that, there were others utilizing their children by sliding them across the floor. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I didn't laugh at the first few videos I saw, but the first thought I had after I laughed, the first thought I had was, somebody call CPS. Somebody call child protection. Because these folks don't seem to understand that you're not allowing your child to even have boundaries. Your child is being used for a laugh track on social media. And then I've seen loving couples, loving partnerships die in disaster because of the constant exposure of the relationship to the outside world. There's too much going on out there to be exposing everything that you hold sacred to the world. It's like going outside without no drawers on and a see-through dress. I mean, it's your right to do that, I suppose. But I wouldn't. It don't seem safe. What I'm talking about is common sense stuff. If you have a relationship you hold sacred, it's okay to show people your love, but how much of your love are you exposing? Well, if you don't want to get a day job, I guess, but you're selling, if we're being honest, you're selling the potential piece of your love and your union for the rights not to have a day job. Now, your labor is still just as intensive when you really think about it. How much you have to post, how many products you have to post, how many things you have to glorify, how much paperwork you gotta do. You still gotta do the same. Some of y'all still gotta do the same amount of labor in order to get the clout that you need to even be profitable on social media. And when you really think about it, if you had a peaceful, loving life in some kind of way, and the only part that you ain't really like is that you actually have to do some kind of physical labor outside the home in order to survive, pay the bills, turn lights on, but you still do have loving support in your home, then maybe don't do that. The more exposure it has to outside forces, the more the risk of losing that. And that has been shown and borne out time and time and time again. And then eventually, I say within 6 months of a year, you're on somebody's gossip rolls if you get popular enough. They talk about everything that happened in your life. It doesn't mean that even those who are not on social media like that, couples go through things. It's hard enough to go through things that sometimes couples go through without the whole world knowing about it and giving their opinion and talking crap or making you their enemy. Because people choose sides all the time. This is me saying, maybe it's not that serious to have clout. Maybe it ain't worth it. We've all been seeing a lot of the cost of fame over the last 2 years, 3 years. The things people did or had to do, or the things people looked the other way for in order to get and maintain their fame. See, I'm going to tell you right here, right now. Fame is for the birds. It really is. Once I started to understand the ins and outs of it. Now, even though I will sit here and tell you, there are times in which my ego is like, I worked my butt off to do this, that, or the other thing. I wish that I was a way that I can get recognition for it without being famous. Or at least get paid for some of it. I don't even understand. Sometimes my thoughts go there. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. That I'm going to stop working. I'm still going to do my job regardless of what's going on within my day. Unless there is something prohibiting me from doing that. Even on holidays, I don't take no days off. If I'm needed, I'm needed. Now, I take days off if nobody's needing me that day. I'm like, okay, I got a day off. What do I do? Twiddle my thumbs? But it doesn't mean that I want all of the stuff that we're starting to see come out about a lot of the celebrities and within my dynamic. I like going to the grocery store sometimes and not being bothered. I like being able to go to the nail salons and from time to time and get my feet scrubbed without being bothered. That's the cost to everything, love. You gotta wonder whether or not you want to pay that cost. And I don't think I want to pay that cost. I was at a friend's wedding recently, and I was with my partner at the time, who was like right on the cusp of that. And I know it, and I'm proud of him, but I don't necessarily want that. If I can be in the background group and go and do some fun stuff with you from time to time, cool. But I don't know if I want all of that. And a friend came up to me, was like, what are you so pensive about? It was because he was shooting a movie. And I knew that this is the one that's going to do it for him. And I'm happy for him. But I was scared shitless by the idea and concept that people are going to be looking at me in that way. See, what I'm doing here, this ain't much. Mostly it's just like my clients and my students come see this. And then my thought is, eventually at some point, some of us who are making sense, and I hope I'm making sense to you, our voices will be heard throughout the collective. Even if somebody come over here and see I ain't got much of a following, take my words and then share it on a larger platform. Because see, that used to irritate and annoy the hell out of me. But now I'm just like, that's actually beneficial to me, because I get to get the message out without having to do all that extra stuff. What was I complaining and fussing about? I don't even know. Because the truth be told, I don't want it. I want to live gracefully. I want to live well financially. But do I want to be in a situation which I won't be left alone ever? No. I don't want to have to walk around with security. I enjoy my freedom to move about the cabin as I choose to. So nobody knowing who I am is beneficial to that life. I'm ready for my soft life. And to me, that would be a soft life. Being in the public eye and having people constantly knowing who you are seems rough. Seems like a rough way to go. I'm sure there's something good about it, some good things about it, but yeah, it's just challenging. Like even when I was on social media and Facebook before we got TikTok. At a certain point, I was at war with myself over this idea, these same ideas. One moment I'd be like, well, I told them not to do anything on my page, just come look and go somewhere. But the next moment it's like, are they even there? I have to constantly check the demographics to see who's looking and how many and all that, to see if I'm if I'm communicating in a way that's understood at the very least. Because sometimes I don't know y'all. But I'm saying this to you, those of you who care about that stuff or who make a big deal about that stuff. It's like, maybe consider for a moment it's not that serious. If your views or likes or whatever goes down and you have an emotional moment that is a negative affect, then maybe it's not the best thing for you. We have highs and lows in life, of course we do. But how you walk through and flow through that is definitive of whether or not you have balance within your dynamic, within your life. And if we put our children out there and expose them to that, they have extreme highs and extreme lows almost every day of their life. They go on social media. And every time we have an extreme high emotionally, we have a chemical response in our body and in our brains. Every time we have an extreme low emotionally, the same. I've talked to y'all many a time about cortisol and how detrimental that is for our system, especially when we have constant spikes of it. And you can take that and travel it all the way down to the online bullying that our children, if we keep exposing them to social media, they're going to encounter. So when they're not encountering that extreme highs, that's going to give them dopamine, that's going to make them want to have that more. And the next day and the next week, if it's not the same or higher, they're going to have an extreme low and be scared and panicked and wonder what the next crazy thing they have to do to get that next high. It's like a drug. I'm saying this to you so maybe we can kind of consider limiting the exposure to social media. If we never put that in our children's hands until they get, a bit older, then we have more likely a chance to help them with their emotional regulation. Because it's hard. If you ever try to take a tablet from a toddler that's a tablet baby, the reaction is extreme. And if they were big enough, they'd probably harm anybody who took that from them. And that is not a well-adjusted response to stimuli. That's not emotional regulation. Emotional regulation, basically, all of their emotional regulation is coming from the screen. And if I had another way to do this, I would. I would talk in an audience on a stage instead of this phone. This is the way I have to do this. Just because I feel the way that I feel about this. Some of the violence that we're experiencing is because of the extreme highs and lows too. And a lack of emotional support, boundaries, good boundaries, and kindness experience when a brain is very little. The constant exposure to violence on these screens. I hope I'm not beating a dead horse, but maybe I am, I don't know. But if we don't understand that we causing our own strife and problems at this particular point, then there's no way to save us. See, I ain't trying to save nobody. I used to. I ain't trying to save, listen, I ain't trying to save nobody. I'm here to help. I'm here to help you save yourself. That's why I'm at with it. I will help you save your health. I will co-create with you a better existence for you individually and collectively. But whatever y'all say is what goes. And when I say whatever y'all say is what goes, I'm going to speak some common sense and common knowledge and hopefully not talk over nobody's head, because I think that was part of the problem too with myself and many others. We're speaking on a level that nobody seems to understand. One of the babies, I forget his name, posted a clip. It was one of the last things I posted on social media, on Facebook. And it was basically him talking to his guide. And that guide saying to him, well, you had all these levels of knowledge. His argument was that, what's the point of giving me all this knowledge and all this crazy universal information if I can't spread it about and teach folk? What was the point of giving it to me? And it was like, that was for you. The guy's response was, that was for you. That was for you to elevate. That wasn't for you to try to save nobody. That wasn't for you to try to elevate nobody else. Because whatever elevated you clearly is more powerful than you are. So you stepped into some shoes that don't belong to you. And we've all made the mistake here and there. Those of us who had that. Them shoes is too big for you. The shoes you got is the ones that fit. It means that you elevated from the knowledge that you gained. So use your plain speech in this third dimension and some forth. So you got access to other dimension. Listen, if you want them folk that you consciously are aware of other realities. That wasn't for everybody who ain't aware of it. You cannot force somebody to see something they can't see. But what you can do with the elevation that you got and the open-mindedness and the conscious awareness and the elevated thought process and hopefully the elevated ability to empathize and love, what you can do is speak with your plain speech and tell folks things that you understand from not just that perspective, but your own personal life experiences. See, again, the other day I said that happened for you, not to you, a lot of that stuff. And I wish I'd have understood that sooner. Again, I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite and say, you know what, I enjoyed all that. No, I didn't enjoy all that. But I did gain something from it. But this is my way of saying, because I had to give that and put that sweat down, the blood, sweat, tears, and life, then what I'm going to do, just sit with the information, sit with the grit, sit with the strength, and just hold it for myself? Well, that's a choice and I can choose it, and it's not a wrong choice at this point, in my humble opinion. However, This is my way of making it worth something. And the reason why I choose this at this time is because I see where this is headed. If some of us don't start speaking some common sense and common wisdom. Now, I don't know who else is doing it. Because again, I'm not on the socials. I've tried in every single way to incorporate myself into the socials. And when I wasn't uncomfortable, I was being attacked for whatever freaking reason. And I asked, side street squirrel, come on with me on a side street. You can understand when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you from not just a place of I am apprehensive about the future. I'm talking to you from a perspective of I understand. I am living in the same existence as you are most of the time. When I asked them, said, I had a huge blowout with one of my friends. And I wanted to, so hard, I wanted to help her understand why she was hurting myself and hurting other people. And I tried on so many occasions to explain this and also model behavior. And thinking to myself, yeah, she does these things, but she also does kind things. Is she doing kind things because she's manipulative, or is she doing kind things because she's genuinely kind? And I thought, and I still do think, she was doing kind things because she's genuinely kind, and she also wants a place to feel like she belongs. This is one of the Land of Misfit toys that I have a special place in my heart for. And when I say the Land of Misfit toys, y'all, I mean there are folk out there who have family, who have relatives, but never felt like they fit in, or that they don't have relatives, they don't have family, because everybody's either in the wind, spread across the world, or no longer with us in this dimension because they've passed on. And a lot of times they don't have a sense of community or family, so they find a little family in different odds and ends, but it fits somehow. But I call it the Land of Misfit toys because that's probably showing my age, but it's like an old Christmas animation, claymation, and they had this Land of Misfit toys. I don't know why it resonated with me so much when I was little, but it did. And ever since then, whenever I find a oddball collective of people that have genuine kindness and genuine hearts that just need to be loved on and shared with, I call them my misfit toys. So anyway, so we're all in the Land of Misfit toys in that perspective, as pertains to the people who I resonate with typically the most. Anyway, but I became so angry and enraged with her that I could not even convey to her exactly what I wanted to say and how I wanted to correct this, hopefully, but help her understand that it was not okay that she did what she did. Like, maybe stop. And it just couldn't come out. And it's happened to me so many times. Like, I've told y'all about it before, I think. I'm pretty sure I have. Where I was supporting one of my, what I thought at the time, a online spiritual friend. And I happened upon her probably when I was doing all right. But she was clearly not. I could feel the sadness in the way that she spoke. And at that time, she probably had like 200 or 300 followers. I don't know. And viewers. But I just sat and watched and prayed. And I don't know how I happened upon this person, because I wasn't one of those people that watch online tarot or anything like that. I just happened upon this person, looking for something else, actually. So I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in synchronicity, but I don't believe in coincidence. So I sat here and listened and watched. And after a while, once she started growing her following, I started commenting and things like that. It got to a point where I started going through some horrible stuff all at once. And some of the things she was saying was resonating with my circumstance. I said, how can I help myself through the catharsis? Because I would laugh so much. I'm like, if I'm in this amount of pain, maybe somebody else is too. But also too, I'm a good storyteller, so I can help myself and help her. So I'll tell my stories and post our videos to be like a clarifier for anybody who don't. Because sometimes people thought I would speak or write in a way that they didn't understand. I'm like, look, if you don't understand the way I'm talking, my vernacular, you'll understand the way she talking. I saw it as an act of love. I don't know if she did or didn't. I have no idea what this young lady did to this day. And I never decided to investigate because I don't care. Pain is pain. You live through it, you heal, and you move on. She is forgiven. But I was so angry. I just could not write. I could not speak. I could not nothing. I was so angry and hurt. And a lot of that would happen where I'm great at speaking, great at writing. But in anger, I feel like I turn into an idiot. So it's like, not only that, I am not able to properly articulate or formulate action plans. And it's like it's disruptive to my psyche. It's one of the reasons why I'm not on TikTok. Because I'm coming there thinking, I know what I can do to help. And so many folks was indicating that there were melanated people, especially women, that were not getting their just due. I'm like, I don't want to go up in here, no. But I went up in there and saw for myself that that's exactly what was happening. It wasn't long before I started being attacked, though, by the same people I came in there to help. So I did what I needed to do and I left. Again, some things you don't get credit for in this life. But I still asked before all those incidents and after all those incidents, can you please, if there be an omnipotent source, help me with my anger so that I can balance things out better and have a better way of communicating with folk. I don't know why I have this. Look, excuse me, I'm getting emotional. I don't know why I have this. Why I know these things. Why I'm able to do these things. If I'm not able to help. And sometimes I cannot help them if I am angry. I can't help myself. Help me with it. And what happens, and I tell my clients and my students this all the time, is what happens is I keep getting circumstances in which I get infuriated. Because of the lack of fairness and the egregious nature of what was done. And then I'm like, okay, so that's the opposite of what I asked. I want some peace. And the truth is, an answer was, this is why some of my students in class get frustrated with me, because I had to learn it the hard way, the real hard way. Some people I love very deeply eviscerated me. And most of them, I don't know why they did what they did. I didn't get to know that. There's some things I know, some things I don't get to know. I think that was the point. That's the beauty of it, I suppose. Was that you're given what you need to build it for yourself, and that's the co-creation. You asked. Says the universe, God, and whatever is omnipotent around us, for ways to control your anger so that you can be more palatable even when in strife. We just kept giving you ways and means to be angry. The idea of something not being fair is the thing that makes you the most angry. So that's what we're going to get you over and over and over again until you learn to still yourself even in those moments so you master you. Because once you master that, ain't nobody going to fuck with you. And you know, initially, I really thought that was also unfair. It made me quit several times. But now, I sit here and I'm telling you, And I've told you previous times, come on, when you're upset, maybe don't react initially. Unless your life and limb is in danger, reacting immediately serves no purpose to anyone. Take about 5 to 10 seconds to reflect on where you're at and what you're doing. Also, think about another circumstance in which you were in the same exact situation and the outcome. Give yourself that. It might take you 60 seconds, but it's not going to take you your whole lifetime. And see if you had regret after reacting last time in the way that you want to react right now. That's first, because self-accountability and self-awareness is important. The second thing is, ask yourself if it's worth your time. Third thing is, ask yourself what you learning. See, a lot of times I ask immediately, what am I learning? And I ask my clients to ask themselves, what are you learning? In that anger management perspective, from an anger management perspective, what are you learning? Instead of getting angry, see what's trying to be taught to you. And sometimes something is trying to be taught to you. You don't have to sit in regret. You can sit in self-mastery. But it's hard to do that. It's going to be hard for these children to do that. That's growing up. And I'm advocating for this for a reason. And I'm about to tell you what it is. Because I don't just tell you to do something without telling you why it's important. We talked about this. You can't even tell me not to cross the street unless you tell me why. Okay? Because if there's an imbalance in parental caregiver emotional regulation, concern and attention, and boundaries, coupled with the dopamine highs and the cortisol lows of social media, added to the violence that is being experienced through witnessing and actually being on scene or having violence enacted upon. You take all those things together and you can see what I see for the generation that is coming up right now. Can you imagine what them brains gonna look like? How they gonna behave? Listen, I ain't trying to be in no old folks home and having somebody take care of me that can't take care of themselves. I'm saying it's just so when we all get old we get taken care of, because some of us ain't. Some of us ain't getting old and some of us ain't getting taken care of. That's not the point. But ain't gonna be nobody here to do nothing. Everybody's brains is operating from, what's that movie? Skyline. It's kind of like a sci-fi B movie almost. I think it's popular in some circles, but I highly recommend those of you who are not understanding or were bored by this conversation that I'm having with you, so go ahead and watch Skyline 1 and 2. The second one wasn't as good as the first one. I don't know. I think I like the second one better a little bit, honestly. It depends on what mood I'm in. But the blue lights in there, it's the same thing. The same concept. Overall concept is that the blue lights draw you in and you go into your danger. And you don't even realize that's what's happening until you just mindless drones walking around and having this. If somebody told me, well, what happened to you wanting to be an influencer? I said, don't call me that ever again. Because listen, I'm advocating for you to think for yourself and take ideas, chew on them a little bit, turn them in a little cud inside your brain, and then spit out something that's yours originally. I ain't trying to influence you to do nothing. Sorry. It irritates me. I want you to think. If nothing else, I'm your cheerleader, encouraging you to think. I'd rather be called a cheerleader than an influencer. I'm just saying though. Anyway, I'll be talking back at y'all in a few. I have another conversation to have with you. Because I feel like if I can get all these thoughts out at once, I won't keep forgetting them. And two, I don't know. I'm about ready to be done with this too. Sorry. I just want my life. I'm like, if I say the thing, what is the thing that unlocks the key? I mean, unlocks the door. I'm at a door. My clients know what I'm talking about. But there's something I must do. There's no guide. I must find it. It's one of those things. And I figured if I keep working, I'll find it. Especially from the real stuff, the heart, the spirit, the soul. If I get it out, I can retire and be done. That'd be nice. Anyway, you're loved.